Yeah, memorable night, guys.
Have you got a good picture of him?
Okay, well, I thought we had made it through the night okay, but I just went out to use the restroom and came back and they're like, come over, come over. And yeah, the bear was there. And apparently it had checked out their camp around 2 in the morning at least once. Yeah, he's not that old. That was the description of the one the BMT hiker ran into. He said the mother was around too, though.
Okay.
So this is a very unusual behavior for a bear. Generally, they spook at the first sign of humans, and the fact that he wouldn't be shooed off and just kind of sat there was worrying.
I didn't notice anything over here. I mean, I woke up a bunch. I wasn't sleeping real great. I heard some things moving, but I never caught sight of it at least. It now took back off into the bushes, so we don't know where it is. Also, it has now taken one pair of 2 different sets of shoes and a pair of flip-flops apparently, so it really likes shoes. I am trying to make sure I keep a hold of mine. It is such a shame not to be hanging around here for a couple hours drinking coffee, but oh well. I feel like if I do that, I'm asking for trouble considering the history of this bear recently.
These are the refugees from Deep Creek that arrived last night, fleeing the bear from their campsite.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
Checking out my campsite over there. I just chased him off and he is meandering back, so yeah, this guy is unfortunately habituated. Yeah, memorable night, guys.
Have you got a good picture of him?
He's good at posing for said photos. Oh.
See you, buddy.
Okay, we chased the bear off so everybody could leave the direction they're going. I had 1 cup of coffee before I left, but that was kind of all I dared. The moment I left my campsite and went over to chat with the others, the bear actually seemed to run over and was checking out my site. So he was a little adverse when I yelled and charged at him. He did take off, but he didn't go very far and he came right back. On one hand, it is always really cool to see bears. They are just such cool creatures to watch. And most of the time, all you get is a fleeting view of their, rump running away from you. However, I do prefer my viewings outside of camp. Everybody was using the cables and everything, so this was not oh, Matt was sleeping with his food and attracted a bear sort of thing. Everything was up on the cable and still we had that. So, as with what I said yesterday, I'm convinced it is the consolidated campsite thing. Because that bear, sadly, I mean, it was obviously very used to humans if it wasn't spooking like that. We never saw the mother. Another hiker had said he saw the mother staring at him after the baby charged. I always just get sad because kind of the only way they have to manage that sort of thing is to kill the bear. It is kind of hilarious that little bear seems to have a shoe fetish. The young couple were in light hikers and it got one of each of them. And then they had a pair of flip-flops and apparently it got those too. After I had met them last night and they said they'd lost shoes, I moved everything inside the tent just to be safe. And honestly, like lying there last night, I was less afraid of personal harm so much as gear damage. See that tent yesterday that had been ripped up. That would be kind of disruptive to my plans if I had to walk out of here carrying a pile of gear in my arms with a shredded pack, shredded tent, etc. So I have left far out comments in this entire valley. The other folks are all going to be out sooner than me, so they are going to report it to rangers because I kind of suspect this entire area probably needs to be closed, not just that one camp. I was a little bit disbelieving of that. Okay, yeah, aggressive bear here, but camp 0.5 away. When those people showed up after dark, they were really apologetic about jumping the campsite and everything. But I'm like, no, hey, it's fine. Plus, you know, if there's problematic bears wandering around, at the very least, we could start a bonfire and get like torches and fight it off throughout the night like primitive humans. And see, like that sort of situation, there was plenty of privacy between the sites. I don't mind sharing in circumstances like that. I have a really off-color rule of thumb when it comes to standards for campsite separation, and that totally fulfilled it. Blondie doesn't let me say it on video. Interestingly enough, the one guy was from Ohio. He comes out here a lot. He said this is the most bear scat he has seen and the most bears on trail in camp he has seen coming out here for years. And I mean, I noticed how much scat there was yesterday. I don't know if it's due to the lesser tourist numbers this year or what, because I know the AT was down 39%, and several of the places I've been, like End of the Long Trail, said yeah, they were just getting killed due to the lack of international tourism and probably just people worried about the economic situation. My campsite today is in 16 miles. There's some sort of a lake on this side of Smoky Mountain National Park, and that's what I spend the next couple of days working my way around. I think this morning is the last major climb until I get to Fontana, at least per the elevation profile. I think yesterday was the 1 month mark since I've been out here. Obviously I had a couple of days off trail, so it's not a month of hiking days, but it has felt good to be back out after that whole medical nightmare earlier this year. Part of me still really wanted to just go back and finish the Moab to San Francisco part of the American Discovery Trail. I mean, it's not even the hardest part of that hike. I think that was the plains in summer. But honestly, without being able to push miles, that was going to get complicated. And if anything had happened, if I'd had another HSP outbreak, if I'd had to come off trail, it was going to be really messy for quite a while from where I was. So on the plus side, hey, I got to come out here, do something in an area I hadn't hiked in much. And I'm actually getting to accomplish things off my list. I mean, some of the options I had were just get on the PCT, get on the AT, where I could have gotten out and I could have hiked, but it wouldn't have been accomplishing anything. And I am still enough of a software engineer that I am goal-oriented even when I'm recreating. That's initially what appealed to me so much about peak bagging. Go out, and I wasn't just going out and enjoying myself. I was enjoying myself with a goal. I was pretty addicted to peakbagger.com for a while. And I really enjoyed the long trail, even if the southern end did get a little bit of doldrums for a little while there. It was going back to an area I really liked, the Northeast. I remember enjoying Vermont and wishing I could see more when I was on the AT. Got to stay at the end of the long trail and things like that. And it feels good to have done something that was a struggle and a challenge. That way I can feel a little less like I'm made of glass as I'm moving forward. Because that was the thing. Like, okay, I start to rehab and I get out and I start to do things. And initially, just being out feels amazing. Just doing that overnight on the PCT felt amazing. And then all of a sudden, okay, I'm back to something quasi-normal. And I'm more frustrated by how much I'm being held back. And then when the big Secchi thing aborted due to the tooth thing. That was a bummer because that was my really get out and push it and make sure I'm good to go before I'm financially committed and on a plane somewhere. But hey, it worked out. This set of adventures are going to have their own set of stories with the tooth and everything else. And at this point, I'm pretty confident in the foothill trail working for once I finish here. I haven't been able to respond to them, but somebody that trail angeled for me on the AT years ago when I got to Springer, well, when I was on the ECT and got to Springer, I should say, he thinks he might be able to help me get over there. Haven't been able to plan. That's going to have to be an in-town thing. Haven't had enough reception throughout this whole thing, but that should give me something to burn another week or so. Should be really pretty. It's nice because once you get under, say 200 miles, it gets hard to justify the travel costs of coming out here. When I was still gainfully employed in IT, my problem was getting enough time off to do anything that was a reasonable length. I couldn't do the JMT until I just happened to hit the right confluence of project ending and a couple other things. But now it comes down to more, I have the time, but it is expensive to transit out to a trail like this. So that was part of the reason why we went with Long Trail and Benton MacKaye instead of the Superior Ozark Wachita plan. It would have been several $100s more in transit costs. I try not to get too distraught about the financial situation. Obviously, we've taken a big hit with all the medical stuff, but nothing to be done about that. And hey, I'm still out here. If that had been it, and it had been something serious and it had killed me, I doubt when I was lying in that hospital bed, breathing my last, I would have gone, oh, you know what? I should have stayed working for those companies that were, treating me like crap. I regret not being in those cubicles for an additional year or two versus, I don't know, adventuring across the US and meeting all sorts of awesome people. We don't quite know how things are going to have to adjust next year. We're going to try and keep going, doing what we're doing, obviously, but we might have to scale back some things just to keep our head above water. We'll see. Jen's comment when I broached the subject of canceling Palau, which would have been a bloodbath, but might have saved a little bit, was all the medical issues and some other friends we've had who've had some bad developments just made her extra committed to kind of the initial thing that got us moving, which was you don't know how long you have, and if you wait, you may never make it. So keep doing as much as we can for as long as we can. Oh, that is pretty. Yeah, nothing like a few thousand feet first thing in the morning. Take advantage of what limited coffee I have in my system. Okay, met another group at the top of the climb. They were not headed down to Deep Creek tonight, but they were going to stay at one of those sites tomorrow. So I warned them about the bear situation and said maybe they should consider a different plan, which seemed like what they were going to do. Somebody's going to have a fun day. Oh, or they got rid of it on purpose. That is heavy. So it looks like I've got about 8 miles following this creek, at which point I have a small climb, but big mountains look like they're pretty much done, at least for the Smoky Mountain part. Getting downright civilized down here. Okay, wasn't sure what was going on, but I saw a couple of MPS rangers, so I ran over and gave them the bear report, so at least the information is passed on. Apparently this is some sort of gravesite decoration at a cemetery up here. I found, I didn't want to keep those guys any longer because they were about to be fed. But per a far out comment, right after that last bridge I went across, there's a little 0.2 mile trail. I saw the rock wall and went and looked. And apparently up top of that is some sort of a cemetery. And per somebody back there, twice a year they open a gate so people can come back here and, he said, decorate the stones. So I was kind of shocked because I've been feeling like I was really remote basically since Smokemont. Started to see tire tracks and then turned the corner and bam, people are everywhere. Interestingly enough, I had been surprised that the bear had taken shoes. And when I mentioned that to the NPS guys, they started like cursing. Apparently they're notorious for stealing all sorts of things that are weird textures, like the chain from a chainsaw or tools or things like that. So it wasn't that unusual. Which, hey, learn something new every day, huh? I did ask them what they usually do with bears like that are just so habituated. Because based on things I've been told out in California, they've basically given up on relocation out there. He said he didn't know. He thought that they still did do some relocations, so hopefully it's not just, killed just because humans were bad and let it get at food. It is 1 o'clock. I only have 7 or 8 miles to camp. If I can get a hold of Jen one way or another, I'll use the inReach if I have to. I was going to ask her what the situation is and see, since I know the hiking is going easier, faster, etc. Maybe we could change around the permit and get me out a little earlier. I don't know if the hike in place that we had planned for me to clean up and resupply can accommodate me showing up late in the day. There were some far out comments that kind of suggested they wanted you to do everything on their schedule, meaning, pick you up in the morning, go to town at a certain time for resupply and dinner, etc., etc. You would not believe how many well-meaning offers of support, slack packing, skipping. Even I have had a good number of people who offered to come basically support me along the way and give me a place to sleep in their van every night. And I always really appreciate the sentiment. It's just, I don't know, somehow detracts from the adventure of it all. Okay, looks like there's a bit of a far out issue through here, but apparently if I just follow the signs, it works. I'm working backwards from a handful of comments, but okay, there was the marker that I was missing. The track is incorrect through here, and the comments are mostly northbound with a few southbound. Okay, apparently it is tunnel time. Shades of the CNO. This is the top of the tunnel. Guess it makes sense why they decided on the tunnel. Sadly, not quite that impressive after all the rail trail tunnels I did last year. Some of those were really cool. They had like fog, and I was in there alone as far as I knew. Okay, I think I have escaped the tourist hordes, at least for the moment. My campsite is unfortunately pretty close here. I am going to try and get a hold of Jen and see if we can't open it up a little bit, because I'm supposed to do 17 miles tomorrow, and then I think like 16 the day after, something like that. And if it's anything like today, I can do more than that, and I would prefer to get into town a little bit early, and maybe I can handle everything, spend a single night, and then come back out. Feels like I had solitude for days, and then all of a sudden I was in the middle of the screaming masses, and now back to solitude. Well, damn. I was kind of afraid of this. Oh, this is pretty much a bloody nightmare. They're already blaring music. Of course. The moment I decide, damn it, I'm just going to push on, I get into blowdowns. I really expected to have more issues Saturday night, not Sunday. Also, I don't know if the people at that last campsite were permitted or not. I have seen at least some evidence, we think, of people just kind of like doing whatever. I could have set up in the middle of that mess. Yesterday I went against my gut and had a pretty miserable night. So at least at the moment I am pushing for the next campsite on Far Out, which is another 5 miles. I'm not sure I have in me, and I certainly don't have the daylight for, but I'm not sure what else to do here other than just go complete asshole and find a stealth camp. Dang it. should be the next campsite, I think. I hope. 'Cause I certainly don't have it in me to go any further. Okay, long day, but made it to the next camp. I'm thinking I'm gonna look at plans and change things around. I think I can get out of the Smokies after one more night. And quite frankly, after the last 2 nights, I'm ready to be off into normality. Home sweet home.